my blissful selves. Today, let us continue to know in brief about the state of spiritual aspirant. When the spiritual aspirants will be in a position to destroy the desire of sensory objects. So, in the next step, there become the obstacles by the demons, etc. So they feel very jealous about our progress in a spiritual practice by destroying the desire of sensory objects. And they try to bring us down and make us to give up the spiritual practice. So the so-called demons and Brahma demons, the so-called ghosts and the Brahma ghosts become an obstacle for our spiritual practice. And even the snakes and cruel animals become an obstacle for spiritual practice. So this spiritual practice can be continued and the obstacle can be overcome by thinking that all these are the imaginary beings. The demons, Brahma demons, the ghosts and the Brahma ghosts, the snakes, the cruel animals. So all these are imaginary beings. And these have been imagined by ourselves. All these are the creation of our own mind only. So all these are false. So the so-called ghosts can take the form of very big snakes and they threaten us during our spiritual practice. So you should not give more attention to all these. We have to continue our spiritual practice. If we reason out, whether there is happiness in the mundane waking state or not, we will come to know that there is no happiness in mundane waking state. In a dream and waking states, there is no happiness, but only there is misery. In a dream and waking state, the happiness and misery are mixed together. In deep sleep, there is temporary happiness. But there is ignorance of our true self. We don't know what is our true real nature. And this ignorance is the cause for the creation of dream and waking states. So if at all we have to get permanent happiness, we have to think that the three mundane states, that is, deep sleep, dream, and waking, they are mere trash and junk. There is no happiness at all in them. And if at all we have to become permanently happy, we have to transcend all these three states: waking, dream, and deep sleep states. But generally, people think that if they do virtuous actions, so they can get heaven and can experience maximum happiness. But both the sinful actions and the virtuous actions give us unhappiness only. If we enjoy the sensory objects by sinful means or by virtuous means, later remains only unhappiness. As we go on enjoying the sensory objects, so the desire to enjoy the sensory objects will be increasing. That means there will be no destruction of the desire of enjoying the sensory objects by sinful means or by virtuous means. Lastly, there remains the misery only, that is, the desire to enjoy the sensory objects. But if we have to experience permanent happiness, or to destroy the desire of sensory objects completely. After destroying the desire of sensory objects, we have to transcend the gross body consciousness, because the gross body consciousness gives us unhappiness. For example, in a deep sleep, there is no gross body consciousness, and there is no unhappiness. But when we come to the waking state from deep sleep, then there will be the hunger, thirst, cold, bright sunlight, sultriness, insult, the pain of the diseases, old age. In old age, we cannot see any forms, objects. We cannot listen any words. We cannot balance our body ourselves. We cannot remember anything in old age. And when there is body consciousness, so there will be the desire to enjoy the sensory objects. So if at all we have to get permanent happiness, so compulsorily we have to transcend the gross body consciousness. And if that is the case, how we can transcend the gross body consciousness? So we can transcend the gross body consciousness by thinking whether we are the gross body or not. And if we try to know whether we are the gross body or not, we will come to know that we are not the gross body, because we know this gross body. If we know this gross body, I am not the gross body, but I am different from the gross body. I am witness to the gross body. And not only that, we are knowers of childhood. We know our childhood. We know our youth. We know our old age, like that. And not only that, even we know the three states. That is the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. So we are knowers of all these three states. And not only that, even we know many lives. And not only that, we are a witness to all these. We are a witness to the gross body. We are a witness to the childhood, youth, old age, many lives. So let there be any type of obstacles during the spiritual practice, but we have to face them all courageously. It is very difficult to destroy the desire of sensory objects. So many people think, if we eat dry leaves and drink water, so we can destroy the desire of sensory objects. No, cannot. We can eat dry leaves and drink water, but by that we cannot destroy the desire of sensory objects. And not only that, if we chant crores of mantras, even then it is very difficult to conquer the desire of sensory objects. So conquering the desire of sensory objects is not the result of mastery. It is not the result of dry logic, but it is the result of intuitional logic. Only by intuitional logic we can destroy the desire of sensory objects. So we have got a very precious human birth. Human birth is very precious. And not only that, we have the three states, that is waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. And not only that, we have got the power of discrimination, which is happiness, which is unhappiness, which is self and which is non-self. So, by three states we can know. In this waking state, nobody is happy. By waking state we can know that there is no happiness at all. And by dream state we can know that the waking is also a dream. Because the waking is just like dream. The dream has been created our mind. And in the same way, this waking is also created our mind. So we can know by dream that the waking state is also a mental creation. And by deep sleep, what we can know? By deep sleep, we know that our real nature is happiness. In a deep sleep, what is our experience? When we wake up from the deep sleep, we say there was nobody in the sleep. I didn't know anything in deep sleep and I was happy. That means I am the knower of all these. During deep sleep, I know whether there is anybody or not. I know anything has been known by me or not. I know whether I was happy or not. That means during deep sleep, I am the knower of all these. And there was nobody in the deep sleep, but I was only there in the form of consciousness. That means my real nature is happiness. By deep sleep, we can know that my real nature is happiness. That means I am happiness. So this has been called as the intuitional logic. So the three states, namely the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. So these three states, they are not present one in the other. For example, now there is waking state. So the waking state is not present in dream and deep sleep. And the dream is not present in waking and in deep sleep. And the deep sleep is not present in a dream and waking. That means these three states are not present one in the other. But we are present in all the three states. We are present in the waking state. We are present in the dream state. We are present in the deep sleep state. And if I am the gross body of a waking state, I cannot know dream and deep sleep, because this gross body of a waking state is not in a dream and deep sleep. And if I am the subtle body of a dream state, I cannot know waking and deep sleep, because the subtle body of dream state is not present in the waking state and in deep sleep. So both the gross body of the waking state and the subtle body of the dream state are not at all present in deep sleep. Yet I know the deep sleep. This clearly indicates that I am the witness to all the three states. Sakshi. That means I am not the gross body of the waking state. I am not the subtle body of the dream. And I am not the ignorance of deep sleep. I am not the ignorance of deep sleep because I know the ignorance. That means I have no ignorance at all. So in this way, we are the knowers of the gross body, and we are the knowers of five senses of knowledge. That is, we know the forms by eyes. We know the smell by nose. We know the taste by tongue. We know the touch by the skin. And we know the words by our ears. That means we know the sensory objects of the five senses of knowledge. And not only that, we know the five organs of action. We know the hands, we know the legs, we know the mouth, we know the anus, and we know the genital organ. So in this way, we know the five organs of action. Not only that, we know the internal means. That means mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. We know the mind. We say, my mind is calm, or it is not calm. I know the mind. We know the mind. Even we know the intellect. So, I have no intellect at all. I have no power of discrimination at all, like that we say. That means we know the intellect. We know the chitta, that is memory. Yeah, I cannot know, see. I have forgotten. Now I have forgotten that. No, I know it. I have not forgotten. Like that. I know the chitta. That means I am not the chitta. And I am not the ego. We know. We do this. We don't do this. And this is the ego. Ego we know. And sometimes you say, I don't know whether I am this gross body or not. I don't know whether I am the consciousness or not. Like that. We know the ignorance of our true self. I know that I am the consciousness. That means I know the knowledge of consciousness. I am of the conscious nature. Like that, we are witness to all these. We know all these. Therefore, we are not these. If I know the table, I am not the table. I am different from the table. So if I know all these, I am not all these, but I am different from all these. So thinking like this, the spiritual aspirant has to sit in a particular convenient posture, and he has to meditate on his own true self, that is consciousness, bliss, existence, and attain the knowledge samadhi. And if we attain the knowledge samadhi, so we'll become permanently happy. So this is the state of spiritual practice, mumukshutva. And by this, I end my talk.